All right, guys, welcome in. We're not completely done Week 13 yet. We're watching the Ravens and the Cowboys happen as we speak. But since that game matters to nobody on this table and probably nobody watching.
Nah, it matters to me.
It mattered to one other guy.
It matters to your fantasy game. But
it didn't matter to one other guy.
Who?
Dez. It mattered to him.
He
wanted to show his one catch.
Yeah, I'm positive that he... it matters to
so
him.
is the NFL, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a crazy week.
Great week.
Steelers took the loss. We'll get that out there. I know I've already
ripping the Band-Aid off.
I've been attacked on every social media. Now, what I'm going to say for myself, I fucking told you guys last week that it was going to happen. So, they play the way that is scary for the Steelers. They can spread them out. The best thing that happened to the football team was Gibson getting hurt because they stopped running the ball. But, whatever. There was more big games this week. The Browns might have proved that they're a for-real team.
That shocks me.
Hold on. Did Alex Smith wrap up the comeback player of the year with that victory?
He wrapped it up to when he had his first start.
He didn't take his first snap.
There was still conversation about it. So
his coach has cancer, and he beat like a leg injury that almost killed him.
Did you see the bloody leg that he had too on the left side?
Yeah,
I think that's nothing to him after what he went through. Just a flesh wound.
That's what he said. It was a little deeper than I usually had it.
Yeah, like whatever. That guy, I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
You can even that sure. I wasn't even mad yesterday. It's like the only reason I was mad is because last minute I made a bet for the Steelers, and that was stupid. Because I told you I was like, I bet with my heart and not my head. I'm an idiot.
Do you guys ever like pucker up or tighten up when he starts like scrambling out of the pocket? Like it does. It's just I've seen like the videos of the surgery and all that jazz, and it just it scares me every single time.
Honestly, once he got hit once, he didn't care anymore.
You can see his face, right? Yeah.
Like probably the first time he had to run, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But now it's like if you played football that way and you lived that way, then he wouldn't be playing the NFL anymore.
Right, exactly.
And he's just playing to play at this point. He's got nothing to play for anymore.
He's not Aaron
money.
Rodgers.
He's got a family. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I mean, with the team that we saw yesterday, and we'll dive in a little deeper to this later. They're a scary team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're going to be a tough out. But like I said, we'll get to the football team and the NFC East later.
I have one question to ask you, and it's not ripping on your team.
That's fine.
Are you concerned with the catches and the drops? Because there was a lot. And Ebron has had that problem in his career.
Yeah.
He had a really bad game yesterday, but there's other guys out there, too, that were not catching the football.
Deontay Johnson started dropping the ball. He usually doesn't do that. And Ebron, he's had those problems. But a coach like Mike T.
What did he say?
He said, they better start catching them or I'm going to start replacing them.
Yeah, find somebody who can. That's right.
Yeah, so Vance McDonald's still on the roster. That guy can play tight end.
He's had some pretty cool catches.
If they have some practice squad kid that they just called up to replace for the Gentry guy, but McDonald becomes the primary pass catcher. Maybe Ebron's just deactivated for a couple games so he gets his shit together. But Deontay Johnson is their pseudo running back, so I don't see them replacing him. And what it's going to come down to is, for them to be successful moving forward and to beat defenses that are capable, they need to have Ben under center and run the ball like adults and stop trying to run the spread style sweeps.
I love the words you come up with. I don't think I've ever heard pseudo running back ever used before. That's awesome.
But he is. I mean, I mean, the guy's getting as many targets as most running backs do carries. So.
Seriously, yeah.
And I mean, if he caught the 6 that he dropped on yesterday, I mean, he probably would have had a different game. But
I will say, TJ Watt, I thought he took years off Alex Smith's life.
He's a grown man.
Like, I know he's good, and I know he's one of the best pass rushers. I think you called him to be Defensive Player of the Year this year. Mm-hmm. And I kind of laughed at you saying you're owner, and I think you're right. But when he stunted and came inside, I think Alex was like, "Oh, I can't get away from this one." I think he puckered.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and he's been continually getting better. And the scary part about that is he hasn't even been paid yet. So that guy's gonna make himself a lot of money. And they have a bunch of injuries on defense now, and the injuries are starting to pile up. Spoiler for our next power ranking, which is going to be out on Friday, Liam.
Yeah.
I don't even have the Steelers as being a top 2 team right now. So definitely go check that out. Just like our friends at Joe Cool's, make sure that you're checking out their delivery that you can order through the app. go there, sit there, and have a beer. Support your local establishment. But yeah, I'm worried about the Steelers, but my worry right now is at like a 2. Do you guys how do you guys feel? I mean, you guys are probably maybe more objective than I am. I don't know.
I just think the door got opened up to lose the home, like the number 1 seed, and get that bye off. But there's much to really worry about there, especially when you get into the cold weather.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, I definitely know what you're saying. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the loss against the football team isn't the same weight that the Chiefs have because it was a non-conference game. So technically, the Steelers would still have the tiebreaker. And
as far as when I saw, my own concern was the catching, the hands, the drops. Your defense is still bar none one of the best in the league.
Yeah,
I said that from week 1. I said their hands are probably the best, they're the fastest defense. They're built to beat Kansas City.
yeah,
So do they beat a team like Washington? No, but that isn't who they're built to beat. It doesn't matter to them.
right.
Are they still the top seed in the AFC and a threat? 100%. There's teams out there that can beat them. We talked about this last week. On any given day, there's really good teams in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
You had a bad week. Should we be concerned? No. But I think there's things that can be improved on, which every team has, right?
Yeah.
With the defense alone, I'm not worried about what's going on in Pittsburgh.
It's a lot easier to change what you're doing after a loss than change what you're doing after a win, and that's kind of the way that I think that the coaching staff will look at it. And they got the Bills this week. It's a huge game. What I saw, we'll just skip to the Bills because what I saw from the Bills yesterday.
How are they the underdog?
I don't know how. Yeah, Vegas has them at a +2, which. I just took them.
Where was that text to me? You hey, Chad, get this one and this one. Where was that text to me?
This is the one time a year that Vegas decided to give a Christmas
I went
spirit.
one further. I just took them straight on the money line. Yeah, I got them plus 236.
Oh,
it was a beauty.
Wow.
But the 49ers can run the ball, but the 49ers are like some of the other teams that run the ball. Once you get behind, you're kind of screwed, yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to win a game with Nick Mullins. Not necessarily a battle.
I have no problem with Nick Mullins. Actually, before he started to turn the ball over, I was going to text you guys, and then the next pass was intercepted. Can this guy be a bridge quarterback for someone who's drafting Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or whatever? Bring this guy in for a year. Maybe Nick Mullins is the new Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Jeez, I view him as Kerry Collins, man. He's a guy who's just going to game manage, and then once or twice a game, he's going to throw a weird throw. And
Kerry Collins played in the Super Bowl.
I know, it wasn't him that got up there.
That's an insult to Kerry Collins.
Yeah,
that guy's been starting the league for a long time.
Hey, played for Tennessee too. I had a couple good years with him, but that's what I view him as. Just once or twice a game, what did you just throw there? But he's a game manager.
Yeah,
that's what I view for sure. The Bills, though, man, Josh Allen, his growth in this year, the second to third reads, he's not. And I don't know if you saw the one play. His arm strength is ridiculous. But he'd back up 15 times just to throw it while falling backwards. Yeah. It was a dart right to the goal line. I couldn't believe that. He was only 4 yards away and ended up making a 20-yard pass because he backed up so far and just on his back foot, right in there.
They keep wanting to compare that guy to Ben Roethlisberger, and I think it's such a bad comparison. Josh Allen is so much farther ahead as a quarterback 3 years in than Ben. Ben Roethlisberger won the Super Bowl in his second year because he was the quarterback, not because he won the Super Bowl. But I can tell you, I've watched every single Ben Roethlisberger game, and not every Josh Allen game, but a fair amount of them. Sorry, you guys know I love Roethlisberger. His jersey's on my wall. I got pictures of him everywhere. Most of them are laminated.
In his bedroom.
Yeah.
Beside my bed.
Yeah. Sometimes I make sure I wear a Roethlisberger jersey just because. But Josh Allen is...
bathroom stall.
Yeah. Josh Allen is the way better quarterback right now. On year 3.
Yeah, and it's his arm strength that is really doing it for him too. He gets himself out of a lot of trouble with that arm.
Decision making.
Yeah, well, and his decision making this year has been absolutely incredible.
Well, the difference was they finally got him a receiver.
Yeah,
that'll help.
Stephon Diggs is probably the best route runner in football.
Yeah,
and he's getting double teams, allowing guys like Cole Beasley to run across the hill and do whatever he wants, and getting help everywhere else. When you have a true guy like that on the outside, that makes a big difference for a young quarterback.
Yeah, and they were missing John Brown yesterday, and some of the other guys just stepped up.
Didn't even skip a beat.
Yeah, I think the Bills are a dangerous team. And the 49ers, it's probably time. they've been flirting with us getting into the playoffs, and it's probably time to bury those cats now, right?
Oh, and how perfect was it that Sherman came out yesterday and said before the game that he didn't see himself coming back to San Francisco? That was probably one of the worst games I've watched of him play.
Yeah.
Jason Verrett, like on the other side, had his hands full covering Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
And Sherman got, burnt by, I think number 13, I can't remember who it is, but went over top of him anyway. And then Sherman did this whole, turn around, look at the safety, that it was his fault. So that was your zone that you bit hard on, right?
Gabriel Davis, right?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Well, it's just he lost a step. He's 33 years old now.
Lost a few, yeah.
And you can't keep with the young kids.
So
and you're a zone guy, but if your zones go deep and you don't have help over top, you're getting exposed. The same thing happened in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So, as a player who switched from corner to safety, Logan Ryan did that with the Giants this year because he had lost a step clearly. Is that a position that you could ever see Sherman doing? Switch into that safety role?
It depends if he puts his pride aside. Rondé Barber did it and got him 4 more years on his career and 3 more Pro Bowls.
Yeah. Rondé was not cocky or conceited, though. I don't.
That's what I mean, right? Like if you can put your pride to the side and you just want to play football.
Yeah.
I think 100% he can do it. He's a very smart, intelligent guy.
Instinctive.
He plays zone. That's what he does. He's done his whole career.
Yeah.
So if you put him back there, I think that's a great transition. That's probably 7 or 8 picks a year easily for him.
And he's a big guy. I would love to have a 6'3" safety.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You're too slow to put your hands on guys now. So if you do miss, you can't catch up to them.
Mm-hmm.
So the only move he can make is going back to safety. But it's up to him if he wants to make that play.
Yeah.
You can't put him in the slot because those guys are way too quick for him.
Yeah. He's just really opened himself up to be embarrassed the rest of his career, though, with that soundbite about the sorry player like Crabtree on me as he gets exposed by these no-namers in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Back then, it was his prime, though, right?
Yeah. Well, let's go to the team that he was with back then, because they also had a little stumble.
Oh my God!
And I'm a little bit more concerned about the Seahawks. Russell Wilson, you're not the MVP anymore.
No.
I picked you at the beginning of the year. I felt like a world champion for about 6 weeks. And that is not true anymore.
Yeah, flashed off the cliff, that team felt, right? Well, at least that game specifically. They've had a couple of rough games, but they're trending the other way. And there's some other teams in the NFC West that are trending up. So they better be washing their asses for sure.
There's one team trending up in the NFC West.
Yeah.
There's only one team in the NFC West.
That was the team. That was the division we were super high on coming in. And, I mean, they performed the first, 7-8 weeks.
First half of the season, they was their show.
Mm-hmm.
But the team that was middle of the tier out of all those teams is the one that's emerging, and I think that the Seahawks are in trouble. I definitely think the Cardinals
are done.
Yeah, and I mean, we already buried the 49ers, so.
Yeah. The Seahawks, their problem is just literally no run game, and they don't continue to go to it. If it gets stopped 10 to 12 times in a game, that's it. We're just going to pass it the rest of the time. And Russ can cook, but footage is out there now. They know what Russ is cooking. They know what he's bringing to the picnic.
It doesn't matter how good Russ is. If you can't run the ball in the NFL, getting cold weather, getting deep in the season, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Is DK a stud? Yup. Is Tyler Lockett a stud? Yup. But you can't go there and sling it 60 times a game and take shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just sitting too high on you.
Also, yeah, I mean, like, and, of course, Shane's going to talk about the Steelers for a second, but the Seahawks and the Steelers are running similar offenses where they're afraid to run the ball. And the Seahawks are actually running the ball a little bit better. But if you're 5'11", whatever Russell is, you can't be the guy that throws it in 2 seconds because you don't even see what's happening.
Actually, it's an interesting touch on that. So I don't know if you've seen the passing charts from Kyler Murray talking about how you can't see it all. No. So something like close to 65 or 70% of his passes are outside the hash marks.
Yeah, they have to be.
There was a breakdown of DeAndre Hopkins has only run 3 routes in 3 weeks that are inside the numbers. Everything has been it's all been out. And then somebody else had taken that and put it into a chart form and showing the blue and the red where he's kind of throwing the ball, and it's nothing down the middle. And this is where the guy was pointing out is it's strictly his height is the problem at this point. Unless he's outside of the pocket, that's the only time he's flying in the middle of the field.
They've been saying for years that every quarter that's been 6 feet tall except for Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm. Well, but there wasn't enough stats on Kyler to see if that was actually true with him, and we thought he had the arm strength. It didn't matter. Right, and he was athletic enough, and it didn't matter.
You can't see.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of athletic, I just watched Lamar Jackson starting to play like Lamar Jackson from 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
He took the ball, made his first read, and was out of the pocket, just gained 15 yards. Take that, Kevin Burkhardt. I actually know how to call a game.
Did you take that? Did you take the Cowboys this one on that over? Or
I got the Cowboys plus 15 and the over 39.5.
Okay.
Just in case anyone's wondering, teasers are closed though. But yeah, I mean, Are you guys worried about the Seahawks? I know I said I was a little bit worried about that.
Well, at the same time, I got to say there's got to be some credit given to the Giants because they're the second most or longest winning streak in the NFC at 4 games. They've shown some things. Their defense is getting better every single week, and the fact that they shut Russell down to the point that they did, I mean, that's a big improvement for them. That's going to be awesome. Their offense has got to come back. Danny missed the game, but if their defense
the Seahawks just can't stop anybody.
Their defense is really horrible. Yeah, it has been playing better, but it's not. It has been historically horrible. Yeah.
Are you going to outscore Green Bay? No.
No.
Are you going to outscore the Rams? No.
Yeah.
There's a chance you might not outscore Tampa. If realistically, we can score. We've had a couple bad weeks when we're on. We score points at will. Can the Seahawks do that with us? Right? Yeah. It's gonna be like they'll lose basketball games.
Right.
But if you play a team with a good defense, you're done.
I don't disagree with you. I think that what we thought they were has kind of bubbled to the surface, and they're just not that. And the Giants again is another team that we're going to talk about a little bit later on, but they're a team that is going to be a scary playoff team, I think.
Yeah,
or potential playoff team.
Outdoors, I mean, like it's just they can win a game for sure.
Depends on who the matchup is, right?
Going into the Meadowlands, not Meadowlands or whatever it's called now.
MetLife,
yeah.
Oh shit, they would actually host the playoff.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, could you imagine you have to go play into New York and you're like 10-6.
So 10-6. Lamar Jackson just did the straight up then versus now. So he ran for 15 yards and then his first pass attempt is intercepted.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Oh, Marquise.
Just a true beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Cowboys. But yeah, the other big game, and I mean, I already mentioned it, and Kalen very, very tactfully jumped over it, so I'm just going to talk to you about it. We had the Browns and the Titans, and we've already talked about this earlier today. I'm not going to get on you about it. Not everyone can beat the Browns 38-7. But go ahead.
What I saw was the Browns just doing whatever they wanted.
Yeah, I think it was all coaching.
And the only thing that worried me about the whole Browns thing is they took their foot off the gas in the second half. Mm-hmm. They played safe and let you guys back in the game. And like we've said from day one, you guys can't play from behind. The Browns let you play from behind.
And the Browns made some mistakes, and they could have been forced errors, right? I mean, it's not like Tennessee gave up, and that's something important to think about, that you can fall behind. But what was the halftime score? It was 38 or 40?
38-7. Yeah.
Okay, so 38-7, and I mean they lost by 6. Realistically, in how many of those points were cheesy? I didn't see any.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you.
Now I think that Baker made a stupid mistake fumbling the ball.
Yeah,
but it still took a player to return it for a touchdown, and I do like. It's crazy to think that we're sitting here saying that the Browns are
9-3, which is crazy.
Yeah,
first winning record.
But in classic Browns fashion, they don't know how to win. They don't know how to keep their mouth shut. So Myles Garrett comes out and says that they're going to win the division. Come on, man.
That's
like
much.
Just go back into the lab with the coaches, figure it out, play whoever you play next week. I don't know or care who they play next week, but
you're not going to win.
Yeah,
you better win big.
You know,
if you're going to come out and say things like that, you better win big.
Yeah, it's just silly, and
like the whole team's a sideshow.
Yeah,
it's finally got it together this year. At the end of the day, like Baker's in his last year because he's in his extension year. There's no way they're going to extend him. They might tag him.
When it comes down to it, and it's difficult to say because we're judging him versus other quarterbacks in the league, but if you're the Cleveland Browns, Baker is, and I'm guessing, well, not guessing, I'm paraphrasing what I heard earlier. He's 22-20 since becoming the starter. Now, all the other starters combined over the last 10 years had 6 wins. So something along those lines. Yeah. Maybe 7 wins, something like that.
He also still hasn't thrown an interception in how many passes? 160 passes. He may be dinking and dunking off the field, and he may be leaning on the run game, but that's still pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, think of the Jimmy Garoppolo or Joe Flacco. These guys had their little runs, and it's because of a good run game and a strong play action game.
Yep.
And that's not a fault. I mean, the Browns are playing to their strengths for once. But how much better are they without Odell? I think that guy's gone.
He has to be.
Now, as a Steelers fan, I would love for the Browns to go back on the quarterback search again. But I can't imagine them not giving Baker 3 or 4 years.
It depends what the number's going to be. That's what it comes down to.
I think he's going to be something like 3 years, 95
I
million.
think he's in the 32 to 33 range, like per year.
Yeah. And I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say he'd probably get a year and a half guaranteed if it's a 3-year deal. So for sure, he's the quarterback next year. They're going to pay him a certain amount into next year that's guaranteed, and they could get out of it next year if he shits the bed. That's my opinion. I mean, I'm not the GM of the Browns, even though I did try and apply for the job because I thought that between the Browns GM opening and the Giants one, I just thought I could make better decisions than they could.
You only draft 19 quarterbacks, not 22.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that I've liked a lot of their draft picks recently, and some of them panned out, some hasn't. But Nick Chubb's a beast. I love that guy.
Yeah. I don't think the 3-year deal, I think, is a little short. I think if I'm Baker, his agent is going to say, listen, you just paid me 5 years, or you had me for a 5-year contract on a first-round pick. You're giving me at least 4, and probably 5. And that's the stepping stone to the contract negotiations. Yeah. And that's where I think you could have something like a player, or not the player option that's on the NFL, but like a team option or something for that 5th year. Or
they're going to extend them regardless.
Yeah. And for like the Baker Mayfield, and I don't have, again, these numbers off the top of my head. I don't even know where my phone is, Liam, right? I'll knock it for you. But is Baker Mayfield in a better position than Kirk Cousins was at the time? And I believe he only got a 3-year deal.
What do you want me to look up?
We want to know what Kirk Cousins' deal was coming out of Washington.
Okay.
When he went to Minnesota?
When he went to Minnesota.
He got $375 guaranteed.
Yeah. So, I mean, why would Baker include in the inflation on top of that? Like, why wouldn't Baker get the rest of that?
My argument there is the 375 is never going to happen again. There's never going to be a fully guaranteed contract in the NFL. I don't think that'll. Maybe
$25 million. That's a kind of a discount for a starting quarterback.
Yeah,
it absolutely is. But you remember the 75 is what's guaranteed of that deal. So you knew 100% that you were paying him 3 years, $75 million. Forget the 25.
$96 million
for 3 years.
No, you got 3 for 75.
Well, he's already signed with them twice.
Oh, okay.
Well, that was a 2-year extension for $66 million.
So another 33. So my thing there is that if Baker signs a 4-year deal at $100 million with 60 guaranteed, that's still less than what Kirk Cousins got paid, but he gets the longevity of the contract that he can play and make more.
Yeah, I think that, like, based on the two numbers that we just threw out there, like, we're basically saying the same thing. It's just, I would say, look at the coach's contract and look at the GM's contract. They're not going to extend a quarterback past them.
Yeah, but those are their first-year contracts, right? So they're going to be there for 4 years. Okay.
Well, I mean, you never know, right? But, yeah, I mean, we're splitting hairs at that point.
Yeah. He's impressed. Regardless, Baker's played better than he had in that game. And everybody, quarterback, looks great against Tennessee's passing defense. But there was a lot of second reads and rolling out of the pocket, making the right read on those plays, too, that I was impressed with.
Yeah. Well, yeah, okay. So there's all that. We were just talking about coaching contracts. We were talking about different lengths of coaching contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about some of the coaching that we've been... Yeah. I'm going to give the floor to Chad right away because he's still currently coaches. So he's going to be able to give us better insight than what we have. Anthony Lynn and, what's his face? Matt Nagy.
Well, I don't know how Matt Nagy still has a job. We'll start with that right away. We've been saying this since I don't even want to know.
I'm going to throw you Adam Gase as well. Just a little lob ball.
Yeah.
Adam Gase has something on him.
Yeah.
Like, he has to.
Yeah.
For Greg Williams, he got fired. I understand he blundered that call. Honestly, I think it's funny.
What I said to Shane is, like, I think it's funny that Gase fired him, too. Gase hasn't made a right call all year long. His job is to run the offense.
But, like, to me, it's like everybody expects you to go prevent.
Well,
like, but if he sacks David Carr, he looks like a genius.
So what was it? No, what was that? There was like 21 seconds left, and I was like, I cannot believe the Raiders just did James dirty on his birthday like that. And Chad's like, oh, I know. And I was like, oh my God, they just walked him off. I cannot believe it.
Yeah. But now did they not score something like right before that? There was almost a connection on the prevent play right before that, though.
Well, the whole defense sucks.
I
can hear it now. I was not watching the Raiders and Jets game. That was not priority 1 in my life on Sunday.
Yeah.
Or 10.
So we had touched base on it earlier here and talking about Greg Williams doing that cover 0. And the video I wanted to show you was actually funny from 2 years ago when Greg Williams got hired by the Jets and he was it was training camp, and some person in the crowd said, "What's your favorite play to call?" He says, "My favorite play, cover zero." It's like 2 years ago, right? And then we had talked recently about
that's the one you showed me, right?
Yeah, that's a joke. I think that's so funny. And it was tweeted out by some Jets, mania fan group talking about he tried to warn us. But yeah, he has he's called that against that preventer against the Hail Mary. He's called it since 2009. He's called that cover zero every single time. The first time it was actually successful was against Carson Palmer. And it was a really close game that he had there, and it was with the Browns that he had done that with. And I guess
so you're telling me they're 4 for 5 on Hail Marys against him? Use his worth once. So that's
No, he's used it every single time since 2009, and that was the first time that he's been burnt with it, actually.
Okay, sorry.
But you said the first time he used it and successfully was against Carson Palmer, which I figured you'd love to hear.
That's all right. I thought you meant it only worked once, and I was like, no. Yeah. I feel like the stout would have been exposed way before this.
But Darren Orlovsky went in pretty quick right after that happened, because the hour leading after the game, everybody was ripping Greg Williams apart, and Dan's like, this is who Greg Williams is. He's one of the most aggressive known coaches in the NFL. He's known to be a guy who headhunts players. Why do you think he wouldn't send heat on you?
Live by the sword, die by the sword, right?
That's right.
And what it comes down to, and I said this, and we both played on defense. We did not play at a high level, but if our coach said, cover zero, like, nope.
I can vividly remember just playing just backyard football with the boys. When somebody would call something in the huddle, we'd walk up there and we'd all look at each other like, man, we're not playing that call.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Like, I remember getting smacked in the helmet when I intercepted the ball, but it was third down, so. You weren't supposed to. You were supposed to just bat it down, but.
CFL rules.
Yeah, that was our.
For the Southerners.
I tell this story all the time. Like, I played with arguably one of the best players to ever come out of London.
Macaulay?
Come on now.
I don't know which one.
Daryl
Stevenson.
Oh, shit. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have him on the show, and we're going to make sure that he knows that you don't know who he is.
No, I know who he is, but the Macaulay boys are pretty good. Go on, sir.
And, I remember when the Seahawks threw the ball on the goal line. I remember the next day, I'll never forget this phone call from my mom. She was just like, so did you watch the game? Yes, I watched the game. She's like, so, what would you do if they called that pass? I said, you already know the answer. She's like, you would have been shaking your head on that sideline so fast.
Well, we had read about Gase, I guess, had overheard it. He was talking to a coach, and by the time he heard it and turned around to make the call to Greg, like, what are you doing? It was already hiked for Oakland and he didn't have a chance. So Gase just had to watch that happen.
So you're telling me, as a head coach, you're not watching the final play of the game?
I know, right? And it comes to the headset too, and that's the thing.
You're busy talking to a player on the last play. You can't have this conversation in 7 seconds.
He was probably high-fiving him early with the win. Hey, we got some points today, guys. Yeah.
Well, when I'm
bashing.
I get it. I get what you're saying. And when it comes down to it, I get that you might be the play caller or you might be the orchestrator of the offense if you're not the play caller. But this is the last play of the game.
Yeah.
This is the last play of the game. Like, it doesn't matter. There is no overtime.
The thing is,
they're either winning or you're winning. It's just,
that's a piss poor excuse. I don't believe it at all. I think he just made the choice not to call it, and he tried to let people know it wasn't on him.
Yeah.
You can veto any call as a head coach.
Sure can.
You just chose not to.
Lamar just broke one for 50.
Oh, that isn't...
It was 4th and 2, though, so the Cowboys decided to maybe put the punt return out there. I don't know.
Okay.
But then we have Anthony Lynn out in San Diego. Fire him.
I don't like that. I think with Herbert playing the way that he is, you just can't...
And you're still 3-8.
I get
you
it.
had the offensive rookie of the year. You're right. I was wrong. I'll admit it. He's playing at such a high level. And I understand you're telling me he's an offensive coach, and I agree with you, he is. But I don't care. You've blown so many leads.
Yeah.
How do you keep that locker room invested in you? How does all your defensive players, they don't trust you?
Yeah. Well, my worry is who do you get to replace him? Because I've seen enough times where when the Titans had Mariota and he was, who's this?
I'm putting my hand up. You can talk to me when you're done your thing.
When the Titans had Mariota and people kept saying like people would want to work with a player like that. They'd want to work, and it's the same thing down there. Like, why wouldn't you want to work with a player like Herbert? He's obviously a good quarterback. I just don't know they're going to be in. Okay, who are you picking?
I would take the guy from Buffalo. Did you not see what he's doing with Josh Allen?
That's where Anthony Lynn's from, Buffalo.
Yeah, but he's not there now.
I know.
And the way that guy's calling the offense, that absolutely fits in with what Herbert's doing. And it changes their dynamic. It makes guys, Keenan Allen, who's already a stud receiver, even more valuable.
I get it.
And they have a lot of pieces there. They have a lot of great receivers. They have a great tight end.
Great running back.
Yeah. A few of them, honestly. Like,
I get it. My worry is just straight up. The offense is clicking. You've done well with your offense, and he's an offensive-minded coach. Maybe it's time to get rid of Gus friggin' Bradley, like as a defensive coordinator, who's never been really, really that good.
Sure, but if it comes down to it, and you need to make the change, I personally think that you go to Justin Herbert and be like, "Yo, how do you feel about this coaching staff?"
And he's gonna say, "He let him cut my fucking hair. Get him out of here."
Then fine, yeah, because that's your guy. Like, I mean, if the Chargers have a losing season next year, Lynn's fired anyway, so you might as well side with your quarterback.
And going back to what you said, sorry I cut you off. You said with Mariota, he's such a talent. It takes a special coordinator to become a coach to work with someone like Mariota. He's not a traditional pocket passer. He's a phenomenal athlete. He runs around. He ran a different offense in college. So that to me, I would call it a red flag, but it takes a bit more of an imagination to work with someone like that. Herbert can play in an NFL offense right away. And if you've coming from Buffalo, we've been saying Bellamy from Kansas City the whole time. Same kind of concept. Obviously, his arms nowhere near as big as what Patrick Mahomes is. But that's an offense that's catered to a young quarterback.
Yeah.
Buffalo's catered to a young quarterback. You can build your offense on what you want to do around this guy. So I think bringing a young coach maybe makes a bit more sense.
Just the Chargers. They're a cheap team. They rode the coattails of the Rams to get a stadium. And to fire a coach and then to risk... You're going to be losing your GM. So I don't think Bellamy or whatever from the Chiefs would come because he's partnered with Dorsey or whatever is the rumor there.
Well, whatever.
I
already told you, I'm not a big fan of that guy from the Chiefs anyway. Like,
I like saying he's one of the major candidates.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
For sure he is. For sure.
And I think about the other candidates that could potentially be out there. That Buffalo, there was a lot of competition.
You're not bringing in a coach, though. That's not an offensive-minded coach.
Yeah,
the quarterback with that talent. You're not bringing in a defensive. Your defense sucks anyways.
Yeah.
You're probably going to clean house regardless. You might keep your OC, maybe. Outside of that, you're probably scrapping the DC, you're scrapping head coach, and you're starting to scrap fresh.
Yeah, but if I were the dude from Buffalo, the two places that I'd be looking at are Chargers and Jets, and that's because I think that the Jets are going to draft Trevor Lawrence, and I would love to coach him. And all due respect to Josh Allen, you're not Trevor Lawrence, and like that guy can do special things, but.
Tough playing against your old boss twice a year.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
The Jalen Hurts decision.
Yeah, speaking of losing jobs, eh?
Woof.
Carson Wentz gets benched. That's crazy.
I think it hurt.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've been saving that one all day.
I bet you have.
It's
Did you even? Okay, so came in, he got a touchdown pretty quickly.
And he also had an interception.
Yeah, he also had a pick pretty quickly. So what did we see out of him in that game, outside of the fact that he got a touchdown within the first 40 seconds?
Doug Peterson is doing anything he can to save his job.
So
that is it.
Yes.
So
correct.
is he, or are the rumors true that Dougie wants out of there to a team where he has more control over, and this is his way of potentially pushing his way out the door?
Yeah, I mean,
it goes one of two ways. If Hurts comes in and plays well, then you have your guy. You look like a genius.
Yeah.
If Hurts goes and shits the bed, you get fired anyways.
Yeah. I mean, if I was a coach, I would look to. Win the Super Bowl every third year or be a top tier contender every third year, and then go to the worst team and get the best quarterback and continue to ride rookie contracts my whole career.
It's like the Wade Phillips way.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, imagine, again, like, we're talking about Doug Peterson as if he's like Andy Reid or Bill Belichick, but imagine if that guy got his hands on Justin Fields. And before the league figured out how to defend Justin Fields, he has him for 2 years on a team with a half-decent defense.
Well, I mean, I don't honestly believe it's Carson Wentz's fault. Like, we talked about this the last episode. Like, that defense is such a fucking cupboard. It's barren, right?
I would love to have Carson Wentz on the Steelers if Roethlisberger ever walked away, but
not that cap it.
Well, they wouldn't pick him up off waivers. I'll tell you that. But Jalen Hurts, the biggest difference between the two of them in there is Wentz looked around and then scampered away. Hurts looked, balls out, and that's I think that's the difference. Their O-line shit.
Crazy they don't see over the O-line.
Yeah, and they don't have much of a run game to speak of.
Mm-mm.
And they don't have the wideouts to have a pseudo running back. I know you love that. But that's the difference. I think that their defense or their offense is I don't know. They're not going to score a bunch of points, but they're a little bit harder to defend with a guy like Hurts who.
You can probably play more clock control.
Yeah, and he can take off with it exactly.
And he can take more of a hit than Carson can.
For sure, and Carson is kind of like running around, and just before he's about to hit, he chucks it away. Where I think Hurts isn't going to be in the position to get hit because he's a couple steps faster and he'll scamper out of bounds.
So I don't know how the contract fully breaks down. I just know that he's worth a lot to the Eagles. But my question is, who's going to do that Brock Osweiler trade? Who's given up like a baseball type trade where they're eating salary to take on a quarterback that maybe they start, maybe they don't? Carolina?
I don't know.
He's done good enough. They wouldn't eat that contract.
Yeah, and honestly, if I was Carolina, I wouldn't want to upset the rhythm because Teddy's doing he's doing good enough. They have that PJ Walker kid, which isn't going to take. Neither one of those guys is going to make them a playoff team, but I think it could upset their locker room, and they're going to bring somebody in this year off the draft, in my opinion.
Teddy's only got a 2-year deal when he went there. Was it not?
Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah, I mean it wasn't a long-term deal.
Is there? Yeah, like they drafted Wilger this year.
Yeah, it's not a long-term deal. And I mean, a team like Carolina, they're gonna build around the decent defensive players that they have because I think that they have a really good defense and they're gonna get a little bit better. They have a guy named Christian McCaffrey who's pretty good at football. I honestly think that receiving core wise, they'd be in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing like a top tier tight end, and they're probably missing a franchise quarterback. You put those things in there and maybe get a veteran or two on your offensive line. I think they might be okay.
So is Wentz that veteran quarterback you're talking of or speaking of?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not.
The only other place that I think that he could land this offseason, it all depends on how the draft.
And I said
is gonna-
veteran O-line, didn't I?
Veteran quarterback and O-line, yeah.
Oh, well, I would prefer them to draft a quarterback and bring in veteran O-linemen, but that's just I like the idea of rookie contracts for quarterbacks.
Yeah. Other place, depending on how the draft or the placing of teams layout, Jaguars. I could
I'm the same way.
I could definitely see the Jaguars not taking a shot at another young kid in the draft because they've been doing it every.
They've missed every time.
Yeah, and just finally saying, let's try. I know they tried it with Foles, but let's try it with Wentz. I think Wentz is a better player than Foles. It's so funny how those two are just like hand in hand in these conversations all the time, right?
Well,
but you knew you're getting from Foles. Foles is a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is a starter in this league.
Yeah.
I think he needs a change of scenery.
Yeah.
I think he can leave and have a great career somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I were to look at this at the beginning of the season, I would have maybe said Washington, but it's difficult to say. I mean, it's Alex Smith's job. It's his job until he doesn't want it anymore, I don't think, because Rivera is that kind of a coach, and I think that's part of the reason he got fired from Carolina is because he really liked Cam. I don't know where he lands, honestly. I mean, like, if I was the 49ers, I would be all over that guy.
If I'm the Bears, you go after him.
Yeah, I mean, if I were the Bears, I would go after anybody with any kind of talent that can get the ball to our weapons. And if I was Carson, would I sign with the Bears? No.
I'd go to San Francisco before I go to Chicago.
Well, one last question is because you mentioned his name there. Is Cam Newton still a starter in this league after 2020?
Yes.
Yeah?
Because Cam Newton is one of the most athletic people in the NFL.
He does have 9 touchdowns, I think,
and
rushing.
If you put that guy in the right system, where he is right now, and I understand that McDaniels tried to expand it for him to throw the ball, but that's not his job.
He threw it for less than 100 yards back-to-back weeks. 69 yards. He said it today. Not sexy with a quarterback throwing 69 yards.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they outscored most of the college basketball teams this year.
It wasn't them. I know they got some touchdowns. It's bad against it looks bad against the Chargers, but 5 touchdowns and 9 interceptions this year.
You want to talk about underdogs? I bet heavy on the Patriots because they were the underdogs in that game.
That's strange.
Can you believe that?
No, I don't really get that either.
It was actually our boy, the one-man weave, who was like, yeah, the Patriots are getting points against the Chargers. I'm like, that can't be right, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna cut them off. So I went and looked at it. I was like, they're plus 239 for the money lines. Like,
that's weird. Like I thought it'd be a lot closer than that. Like I know I'm not a huge gambler, but I figured that line would be closer for sure.
Personally, I would have thought like a 4 or 5 point lead for the Patriots, but well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Carson Wentz is definitely a quarterback in the league, and we'll see. But we know some teams that don't need him. Everyone has been taking a big steamy dump on the NFC East, and it was for good reason. I mean, they've been shit, but a couple teams are starting to emerge from the shit. Also, while we're saying that, the Cowboys just took the lead on the Ravens.
You know the touchdown.
Gallup.
That does not help me.
No.
Come on, man. I need to just see him. 13 points.
Yeah, the Red Rocket went right to him.
Help me.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get you fed. Washington. How are we feeling about Washington right now?
It's just Alex Smith, man.
I'm gonna recuse myself from this, okay?
Their D line is very aggressive.
We're on to Buffalo.
They don't stop. And then Alex Smith is just a leader. He just knows how to lead men.
Rivera said it best. Dwayne Haskins can finally learn how to play quarterback in this league.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening right now.
I like Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that doesn't like Ron Rivera.
Riverboat Ron, man.
You
I
know,
hate that nickname. I that's what I hate about Ron Rivera is that stupid. I hate that
He
as much as
didn't
you
give
hate
it to
moonshots.
he didn't give it to himself.
I know.
Whereas I would fully believe that Russell Wilson probably said, "Hey Chris, why don't you say moonshots on Sunday?"
That's a Chris Collinsworth?
Yeah.
Since we've already been cooking, let's try something new.
Yeah.
Trademark something else.
Yeah, he's gonna trademark mooning people.
Let's just say as in the NFC East, they're the most complete team that's there, I think. From what I saw specifically against that game yesterday, it was the first game I really heavily watched.
It's turf toe, so I mean, I'm gonna imagine 3 weeks
At the minimum. Yeah.
and
In the cold ain't gonna help.
yeah, for sure. And like, it's gonna be difficult for them, but it's not like they have like McKissick. I think had like 96 catches against the Steelers for 5 yards, and the guy, I don't know, man. I understand why they don't want to use him as the running back in a traditional set, but you have Peyton Barber, who's a fucking bowling ball.
On the goal line, like, there wasn't stopping that guy.
And I'm guessing Bryce Love is hurt or something because I didn't see that guy play at all, but that guy's also a good running back.
Darius Geis there too. Was he still?
I think that
This guy's got expelled from the NFL.
Yeah, I think he had some trouble.
Yeah, he got in some trouble in the offseason.
He's like
kicked out of the league.
like the Greg Hardy type.
Oh,
Yeah, he's real bad.
Yeah,
Real bad.
Not a good man.
Mm-hmm.
I know that part.
Yeah.
I thought he was still nursing that ACL.
So
That's what was wrong.
Was he a second round? So did they whiff on first and second round there?
So he was either early second or late first. I don't think they traded back in, but he was early second.
In the same with Haskins, right? The same draft season.
Yeah.
So while they did whiff on 1 and 2, then that's brutal. Wow.
They rebounded pretty good.
And they're still pretty good in the NFC East.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that they're still even being competitive against teams is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
When you whiff on 1 and 2 like that.
And we're gonna talk about the Giants, and then I want you guys to tell me who's gonna win. And the first game of the season, the Steelers played the Giants, and I'm just going to say that's probably the only Giants game that I watched start to finish. They were a much different team then. Actually, I watched them play you guys too. Defensively, I think that they're very strong. Offensively, I think that they lack weapons, but they seem to find ways to get it done. But
I love that Bradbury kid.
James Bradbury?
Yeah.
That's the guy from Carolina, right?
Yeah. Resurgent.
James Bradbury the fourth.
Looking awesome out there.
Yeah.
And he's taking down receivers, holding them down. He's keeping them in games. I don't say he's shutting down fields. I hate that term.
Yeah.
But he's the best corner they have, and he's doing a great job with really no true pass rush either. He's getting the job done there, and he's lining up against number ones every week.
Is it weird that the team that Eli had? To me, I don't watch a lot of Giants games and pay a lot of attention to the Giants.
I don't think anyone does.
Right, yeah. But it almost seems like from the outside looking in, it's almost the same friggin' team. Like, Danny Dimes is a more mobile version of Eli Manning with the way that he plays, I feel. And the way that the defense, the Giants historically just have a decent defense that keeps them in games, an offense that's just enough to give a flash play here and there.
Yeah.
But it's almost like it's just the same boring friggin' team that it's been for the last 12 years, just like Eli, the same boring quarterback, right?
Well, I mean, would you rather have a boring team that wins or an exciting team that loses? I mean, it's the Chargers versus the Giants, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would much rather sit down and watch the Chargers play, but I know that they're going to lose.
They're going to lose, that's right. Yeah, whereas the Giants, you really don't know at this point whether they're going to lose or not. They won, like you said, 4 in a row, so.
Yeah, and I'm going to assume that the Giants and the I was almost called them the
Other
Arsenates,
team?
but they're the football team. I'm assuming they play again, right?
Probably they play the last game of the season. Probably.
Hey,
Which-
Liam, you look that up?
Yeah. What's the last game for them?
You need to set my thumbprint in your
Oh,
phone.
you need me to figure you? Yeah, no problem.
Redskins and Giants schedule. See if they play again, please.
Football team,
The
Chad.
football team.
Whatever
team.
Troy Aikman said, I could get away with it too.
Troy
They have way
Aikman's-
more viewers than we do.
I was gonna say Troy Aikman's been hitting the head more than you have, but I'm not sure that's
Yeah.
true. It's just not. I don't think it's true.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
He had better doctors too.
So, NFC East. Who do you guys think is gonna win? Actually, Liam, it's probably better if you give us each team's schedule and then we'll decide.
Well, it's funny when we were in the underground of Cools there, and we were in the basement and talking, and I said, well, the only way that I think anybody's going to win that division is if Wentz fumbles the ball away or fumbles the division away, and it sure seems like he's done that. So,
Yeah.
Way to go on that one.
no.
And do you mean Joe Cool's, the place of delicious delivery for pizza
Damn
and
right.
beer?
That's the one I'm talking about.
And check out that Holy Roller. I'm not sure if they're still selling the Holy Roller, but we're going to continue to advertise for it.
Until told otherwise.
Yeah, Amy did not tell us otherwise.
Here's
So
some
Giants
insurance.
schedule?
Yeah.
Giants and football team.
Okay, Giants have Cards, Browns, Ravens, and Cowboys.
So that's not easy.
Yeah.
The Reds. I mean, the football team's not really
So
bad at
the
this.
football team played
Yeah.
against the Eagles last night.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it's just coming up with all of the schedule. 1 second.
Sorry, let's wait. Want to plug Joe Cool's one more time though? We got time to kill.
Yeah, I would plug Joe Cool's. I would say go to Joe Cool's. Definitely don't turn your TV up, but go to Joe Cool's. Check it out. Get yourself a beer. You know, that fried chicken sandwich we had was banging.
Yeah.
I had to bring
And
it home, half of it home.
you know what the next thing I want to try there is a panzerotti.
They're massive. They're
Yeah.
actually ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, the football team has the 49ers, Seahawks, Panthers, and Eagles.
So I can get that to the.
So they've already played
What
twice.
do the
now.
Cowboys have?
They're playing the Ravens, currently plus 10.
So you're
false,
saying there's a chance?
false start. Justin Tucker lines up for the kick. He's really having a tough time with the grass there.
If I remember right,
Cowboys
it's
are
an easy one.
Bengals, 49ers, Eagles, and Giants.
Yeah.
So we can't even count out the Cowboys yet. This is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It's going
I
out.
told you, man. I called the Cowboys when we talked this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're
I said
definitely.
talent alone. I said they have to win.
Yeah, they do.
You're a big advocate, though, that the big things is a run game and defense.
Yeah.
Right? And if you have a big hog line like the
Ooh,
football team does,
He missed one finally.
False start for the miss. Baltimore Trails 10-7.
That's crazy.
Yeah, take that, Kevin Burkhardt. I know what I'm doing over here.
but so I'm going to pick Washington. Who are you picking?
You know what? I'm on board with Chad. I think that the Cowboys are going to win the division.
Lordy,
I know.
lordy.
I know.
Woo.
Neither team team up there deserves to lose. But I just watched the Cowboys play such a fantastic play that Justin Tucker missed a field goal.
You are so biased. It's amazing.
The main reason I'm picking that Cowboys is like my buddy Dream. Like he's had a pretty shitty year fantasy wise. Like you gotta throw him something. So we're gonna give the Cowboys a division win, just make them feel better.
Listen,
Yeah,
they've been
let's-
sitting on something since the early 90s and bragging about it every year since. So
Yeah, let's make his dreams come true.
That's right. So what wanted to touch base on earlier with the Greg Williams firing and how he got canned, why he got canned, was putting a cover zero, putting an undrafted corner on arguably the fastest wide receiver in the league. So I want to talk about island corners. Like there's a lot of people, like we had Defensive Player of the Year last year, Stephen Gilmore. He was certainly considered to be a lockdown. Stephon Gilmore, sorry.
Yeah, I think he's French.
He's like Urkel. When Urkel won the time machine.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, we had him winning Defensive Player of the Year, and he at that time, I don't think anybody else really considered anybody else a lockdown island corner. Now, with him not playing very well this year and then being injured and not playing at all, I think the names that I threw down there on the list, we've got like Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander, Tre'Davious White, Xavier Howard. Wow, except for that cheap shot. I think that was kind of lame by the ref to call that.
Yeah.
That's just a little bit of gamesmanship, right? And then Marshawn Lattimore, who obviously has held his own against somebody like Mike Evans for a few games, and he's proven himself.
So we're talking. You want to know best island corners? That's
I think of that list that I've created, I think in the NFL there's only two.
Can I write one in?
Who do you think? Yeah.
Deion Sanders.
Thank you.
Oh,
There's the only one. There's only one island corner.
Yeah.
With Darrelle Revis? I'm not talking the last 3 years of Darrelle either. I'm talking about New York Jets' first 8 years of his career.
I'm talking. There's only one Deion Sanders.
Yeah, Deion Sanders did it for every single team that he played
We
for.
have a lost
And-
tape that we can still pull up, and we talked about how great Deion was It'll probably get thrown out in the offseason.
Yeah. Now, while we're looking at the people that you put on the board, Tre'Davious White had a great game yesterday. Lattimore, Jair Alexander, I think that he's outperforming what everyone thought he was going to. Like, they booed when they drafted that dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Jalen Ramsey's the only one that's had a significant impact in one game. Like, he's the only player that's won out of all those teams. Like, won his team a game.
So of all those players, if we revert back to the play with Greg Williams, any of those players, are they able to cover Ruggs 9 out of 10 times?
Any of those players would have checked out of the play.
Nope, not doing it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, the Jets, I don't know. I don't know if they just thought that they would get cut if they checked out of the play, but yeah, I mean, it's bad decision making.
Like,
it's
you
bad.
know if you can cover an Olympic level track star on a fly.
Yeah.
On a fly, that's right.
Like, you can just be like, no, coach. Tap me out. Like, I ain't getting done like this today.
Yeah, if I give you a gun, it doesn't mean you're going to shoot somebody.
Yeah.
You can just be like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Unless you're in Florida.
I'm cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you got to. Well, my feeling anyway is that the two all the lists that I've mentioned, Tre'Davious White and Jalen Ramsey are my lockdowns, 100%. I think that they can cover absolutely anybody given any given game. They can do it. The other ones have shown glimpses. Xavier Howard has to do more of it. This year is incredible what he's been able to do, and watching him, like that pick he got right before he got ejected.
Yeah,
he's running the routes for the receivers for sure.
All of those guys are tremendously talented, but if we're gonna call island corners, I mean, we gotta call 21st and Prime, and he's saying no chance.
Like, Jalen right now is probably the best corner of football.
Yeah, and
unfortunately, there's levels to this shit, and he's about 14 levels behind Dion.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but Dion was referred to as the lockdown, whereas the island corner, I think the first time that I heard island corner was Revis Island.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have to make up your own nickname, like, what kind of...
Come on, it was the only good thing. Well, I guess the Jets were actually kind of good.
Yeah, well, I mean, they made it to the AFC Championship.
The difference was people didn't throw at Darrelle Revis.
Yeah.
Dion made you look open. And we had this debate before. That's what it is.
Yeah.
He made you think that you can make that throw, and he took it back to the house. And that's what the difference was.
Yeah. Deion Sanders made young kids want to watch football. None of those guys would, like, if I went down and asked Ethan, hey, Ethan, who's
exactly.
Jalen Ramsey? He's going to be like, well, I don't know.
Like,
Just on TikTok?
Deion made guys want to play corner. He made it cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the kid's called drip now. Like, Deion invented it.
Yeah, his Jericho was dripping in the early 90s.
If we're looking at drip, I just feel like all the corners are like Deion now. Every player that comes in that actually has drip has all gotten it from Deion.
You got to be able to back it up.
Yeah, there's a difference.
I guess, yeah.
You know what? We've talked a lot about football. There are other sports.
Depends who you ask.
And yeah, when we go for two, we usually talk about other things, and we've had a lot of requests to speak about other things. Chad brought up a pretty significant story today. Kyrie, Irving, and LeBron, and the comments that came out.
So I'm the first to admit I'm not a huge basketball guy. And we talked. You're like, you didn't know about this? I'm like, I knew they didn't like each other. Questions they didn't like. I knew they had their battles.
Yeah.
But when I only follow football things, and this took over my newsfeed today, I was like, oh, there's something here.
Yeah.
And then Kylie came out and said, now that he's playing with Grant, he's finally playing as clutch as he was. And I was like, that's a shot, man. Everybody has a debate of Jordan and LeBron and so and so, and we have the same talks in football every day.
Yep.
I've never heard the word Kyler with anybody else's name.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous that Kyrie's talking about clutch. Homeboy, you ain't not clutch. Like, he's a really good dribbler, and he can get himself to the hole, and he can make cuts, reads, and he's good for a shot. But when he was at the Celtics without him made the ECF. The Celtics with him didn't do so fucking well. You know what I mean? The team fell apart. The chemistry fell apart. You could see that the Cavaliers were not the same team with him running them there. I think that the Nets are in for a really rude awakening with him over there. I said this to some of my other friends who are really big ball fans. KD is going to have to play granddad, and he's going to have to put Kyrie in check quite a bit. And when that rumor went down with the trade of Harden maybe being traded there, I was like, holy crap! Like, this is another superstar that you're going to have to say, keep yourself in line. Like, that was what KD's job was going to have to be there.
And the thing is, KD isn't that kind of a guy. So
He's a lead. He's a silent leader. He's definitely a silent
Yeah,
leader.
That's
but-
not a kid like Kyrie needs.
Yeah, you can't be a silent leader when you got a bunch of chirpy little kids on your team.
And I don't even understand what Kyrie's problem is. Like, his whole career, he's been gifted decent rosters. Like, he came into the league and had LeBron. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, then he left the Cavaliers and he went to another young squad in Boston that went to the ECF.
Yeah.
And now he's in the Nets, you know?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I watch the NBA playoffs. Maybe I'll watch the NBA on Christmas Day, but not this year because the World Juniors are on and the NFL has a game. So I couldn't care less about the NBA. I will keep up with the news, whatever. When it comes down to it, I don't care for either guy, but like Kyrie, you're not LeBron. You're not
You can't say those things.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy for him to talk like that.
For you to take over my feed, that really pissed me off. Because first
Yeah.
off, you have no right to.
Right, exactly. But, we got the World Juniors that are going to start, and we will talk about the World Juniors as we get closer once they pick the roster.
I'm mad that they didn't let Lafreniere play, man.
I was pretty pissed too.
Fucking Rangers.
Considering-
That's such an American thing to do, though.
Yeah. There was, who's the Canadian that didn't get a chance to play too from the Canadian team? Somebody, I can't remember who it was. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, whoever it was. But tonight they picked the college football rankings again. And we were a little bit surprised because today it was announced that Ohio State's game against Michigan got canceled, which also de facto eliminates Ohio State from the Big Ten Championship.
Ridiculous.
So that means they can't play.
Yeah.
They can't play.
It's not going to play.
There's no reason for them to now be a playoff team. And it led to a conversation, like I was chatting with Chad. Why didn't the college football playoff get ahead of this and say, we're going to have an 8-team playoff? Because I don't think anyone would complain about an 8-team playoff with Ohio State in it.
The only reason
Test
why,
it out.
Yeah, well, here's the only reason why I think. It took them how many years to go to a playoff, a proper playoff, right? It was always wanted, and the NCAA kept saying no and no. I think they're slow to change, and if they did go to an 8-team playoff, and people really enjoyed it, but they didn't want to do it, you have a hard time retracting. I think it's the same reason when people said, like, why don't they have Tuesday, Wednesday football when this whole...
But what did the NFL do? They took the pandemic and tested the market.
Oh, yes, yeah, but that was the big... Like, you couldn't put it on Tuesday because if you gave them on Tuesday, they were going to want it on Tuesday. It's the reason why we can't lose Thursday night games.
Yeah, look at college basketball. Like, college basketball has day games every single day.
Yeah.
The Wednesday afternoon game that the Steelers had 6 million more viewers than the final game of the NBA this year.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's insane. And that was shit football too.
Mm-hmm.
That
was shit basketball. That was shit basketball.
Either way, like, I'm not going to even pretend like I watched it.
That whole dome ball was terrible.
I gave up on the bubbles once the Penguins lost to the Canadiens, and that was early. I watched so much baseball this past year.
Yeah.
But when it comes back, like putting a bow on college playoffs, I think that you were right. Ohio State's not going to get in. I'm not sure how you predicted all of these like breakouts, but somehow you did it. So
I got lucky with this one.
Let us
from a guy who didn't know what.
Let us know your lottery. Let us know your lottery numbers so that we can play those things. But
like ESPN said that they're saying Ohio State's still a 74% chance.
I just don't get it.
So are they just going to put them in?
So is this just a move? Like, 'cause, again, as a guy who doesn't watch college football, on the outside looking in, I'm going, what the hell? So is that player, that decision being made for the fans that actually watch the sport and are saying, well, the team's good enough to be there.
That's what it's going to come down to.
The thing is I mean, if they were having stadiums full of fans, then I would understand why they'd want Ohio State there. But the Rose Bowl's already come out and said they're not having fans. I'm assuming the Sugar Bowl is going to because they're in Louisiana and like it's a different world.
The Bayou.
Yeah, but if they're thinking that less people are going to watch the game because Ohio State's not in it, I would disagree with that. But I mean, I also don't work for a television network or anything, so I mean, fuck would I know?
Yeah, like, the way it's shaping up is we've talked about this numerous times. They want the 4 teams who they want in there.
Yeah.
They want Notre Dame. They want Clemson. They want Bama. They want Ohio State.
If I was the college football playoff committee, and I say this as a Big Ten guy, I would reward the 2 conferences that played the most games, and that's the ACC and the SEC. And if you wanted to get cute and bring somebody in, I love the teal field for Coastal Carolina. That's about it. I mean, yeah, the Bearcats. I mean, I think they stink. They've had their last 5 games canceled, and somehow they're still a top 10 team. And
Florida can't get in there for it.
I love Florida.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. 2 from the ACC, 2 from the SEC.
Okay,
I this is my personal 2 weeks in advance prediction. I think that Florida's going to beat Alabama.
Whoa, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, in the SEC championship.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Woo.
And that's going to put them in. And I was a little bit bitter about this. I know Liam's trying to wrap us up here. I was a little bitter about this, but Clemson Notre Dame is at 4:00 on a Saturday.
Stupid.
Yeah, fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
Has it on an 8 o'clock game?
I always thought, and I was wrong because it's the Pac-12, but I always thought that they were on a Friday night. But that SEC championship game is the Saturday night. So it'll be 4:00 on a Saturday for ACC. I know, just
Guess who's quitting early Saturday?
and yeah, no, both of those will be sitting over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else that you guys wanted to chat about?
I'm good. We went on our rambles. We kept it pretty good as far as Titans and Steelers wise go today. I appreciate that, guys.
Yeah.
I was a little worried I was going to walk into today.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about AV, but I think it's because he was on a bye week.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Antonio Brown.
I got it.
Anyway, great chatting with you guys today.
Yeah.
Check us out on all the social media, right, Chad?
All the social medias. We're on all of
Make
them.
sure you check out the website.
Yeah, that website.
It's
yeah.
a beaut.
Goinfor2.com.
Loving to hear some suggestions about what you'd like to hear from us and what you'd like to add to the website for sure. And loving the interaction with the fans, so keep that up.
And anybody that is interested in providing content for the website, just DM us, and we'll set you up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Might even have you on the show if you're lucky enough.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Well, take care, guys. Cheers. I'm not going to cheers. You guys both. The glasses are empty.
Yeah.